Folks, everybody have a seat, please. Folks, I'm hearing a little bit of noise here. Jalen did check homework. If for some reason she didn't get to you, or show it to her tomorrow, or whomever checks it. Now, so here's a piece of bad news. The next couple of days, starting with today, I don't have the basic sheet that, again, Michael, I don't have the basic sheet that we should have for projection purposes, so I just gotta kind of write on a blank board. Okay? All right, so we messed this up. No, that's not it. It just, I might have went a little too fast. We have stylus connected, so. Good. Okay. Now, there's a little bit of distraction in the room. Angelina, you would be one of the ones who was distracted. All right, let's focus in on this. We've had a really good opportunity today to take a quiz that showed us where we need to improve. We had an opportunity to break down into groups and go over the things we need to get better at today. And now we're going to very quickly go into vertical angles and the things that we've been trying to learn. But first, from the do it, it says 3/4 x minus 4 is equal to 8. Now, I'm positive every person in the room knows how to add 4, and they get 3/4 x equals 12. And now here's the part that I think is a little challenging, a little more difficult. Does anybody remember the correct step from yesterday? Elizabeth? Yeah, what do I put in here? What?
You times the 12. I remember you times the 12 by the top and side.
Well, what you want to do is use the reciprocal. 4 over 3, and then the same thing on the other side. 4 over 3, die. Now, the easiest way to do it on the right-hand side is to say 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. You could also do 12 times 4 is 48, then divide by 3. That will work as well. By the way, I did it quickly, but the reason you can do die here, double die, is 3 over 3 is 1, 4 over 4 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1, so it's just 1x. Okay, letter B, x squared is 64. What's the answer? 8. It could also be negative 8 if you wanted to push it. And what about x cubed is 27? What number times itself, then again, used as a factor 3 times, is 27? 3, very good. Okay, I'm going to skip number 2 in the interest of time. Which function is quadratic, A, B, or C? C. How do you know C is the quadratic function? Everybody.
It's just different.
Not because it looks different. That is test wiseness, but I do want you to know that when you see the largest exponent is 2, that means it's quadratic, okay? That's a very important thing to recognize. Number 4, can't do it. Number 5, what's the square root of 121? Guys, what number times itself is 121? This is a tricky one. 11, very good. And here's one. What's the cube root? That's what this means. What is the cube root of negative 8? In other words, what number times itself again is negative 8? Negative 2, very good. Okay, excellent. So there are the do it questions gone over. Now let's turn the page. To today's lesson is exactly right. Now, there are 2 diagrams on the board. The first of which looks like this, and that is a right angle. How many degrees is in a right angle? Everybody? Hey, back corner of the room. How many degrees is in a right angle? 90. So that means that these 2 angles here and here have to add up to what? 90 degrees. Good. How many degrees in a straight line? 180. Good. You can look at it as a half a circle, right? How many degrees in a whole circle? 360. So then a half a circle would be 180. Okay. Boys, we really do need to focus here. You can't learn without focus. Now, these 2 angles add up to 90. These 2 angles add up to 180. This is a very special thing in the real world. How many of you guys enjoyed technology class from Mr. Golden?
I love that class.
Good. Mr. Golden would tell you that it is unbelievably important the angle measures of 90 degrees and 180 degrees. Now you can see some of that right here, because you can see this is a 90-degree angle here. These things are cut to cover 90 degrees. If you look over here, there's a piece of, usually it's wood, but I don't think this is wood. And it's cut to this piece here, and together they have to make a 90-degree angle. So you have to cut to make that happen. The same thing, you can see it here, that cuts it on the metal here as it goes around this window. 90 degrees is a very important measurement in building. For example, if you look at the studs in a house, the studs are what's behind your wall, behind the sheetrock that holds the house up. Those things meet at 90-degree angles with the ground. Another important angle is 180 degrees. 180 degrees is anything that comes across with a straight line. And that could be anything from joists that hold buildings up to supports that come down and that, like for instance, if you were to extend a roof line, or you ever see how a telephone pole comes up and sometimes there's these wires off of the telephone poles?
Yeah.
Or people even put them on trees to make sure that their trees go straight up tall. So 180 and 90 are things that are used constantly in the real world. So we have special names for this. The names are complementary and supplementary, that's right. Now, complementary means two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary means two angles that add up to what? 180 degrees. Now, sometimes kids mix up which one means which. I have a system that works for me. You may have a different system that you like. Maybe you don't have a system at all. But I like to just remember that in the alphabet, C comes before S, right? And in numbers, 90 comes before 180. So complementary means adds up to 90. Supplementary means adds up to 180 degrees. I am not nuts on memorizing things. I like to be able to just come up with a little thing, write it down every time you need it, and that should do. So if we look at this first diagram on the back of the second page, it says this guy here is 60 degrees. If this angle's 60, what does the one over here have to be? This is 60, what's this one? Why would it be 60? What kind of angle is this?
Right angle.
And how much does a right angle add up to? Or what is it? It's 90 degrees. This is a picture of complementary. Complementary means adds up to 90 degrees. So if this is 60, this guy is 30. Now we look at the angle underneath that. This one is 110. Now, do these two angles add up to 90? No, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. We're already at 110. But together, these two angles add up to what? 180. So if this guy's 110, what's this guy? 70. Very good. Now, there are some other names of angles here that we'll just reintroduce. You should know them from years past.
Obtuse.
That's right. This is called an obtuse angle, and this is called an acute angle. I like to call acute angles Italian angles. Anybody have an Italian grandmother? Probably like 4'11", right? Italian grandma comes up and she grabs you by the cheek and she goes, "Oh, it's such a cute little boy. Oh, it's such a cute little girl." God bless. So we call that the Italian angle. And the obtuse angle is the German angle. Obtuse angle. Did I get any on you?
What?
No.
No, that was funny.
Okay. Now, these are classic questions on the old state test. And they're not quite as classic on the new state test, but they still use similar ideas. At the bottom of the page, look over the question, tell me the right answer. Raise your hand when you think you have it.
Okay, sure.
This is vertical angles, which we talked about yesterday. Okay, it says which pairs of angles are congruent. Chelsea, what do you think?
T, S, U,
That's right. T and S have to be congruent because they're across from each other. They're called vertical. R and U have to be congruent because they are also across from each other. Does R have to be congruent to S? No. In fact, they're not congruent. If you look at it, they are supplementary. They're going to add up to 180 degrees. Turn the page. Okay, so we look at this, and it says in the diagram below, which angles are complementary. Now, we didn't swirl yet, so it's time to swirl. What does complementary mean again?
90 degrees.
90 degrees. Everybody say complementary means 90, adds up to 90 degrees.
Complementary adds up to 90 degrees.
Okay, now, take one hand, put it up like this. Take one, put it up like this. Say 90 degrees.
90 degrees.
Very good. So as you look at that diagram, one of the angles, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, is 90 degrees. Which one of those angles is 90 degrees? You can look at your diagrams, everybody. Angle 1, very good. Now, there's another pair of angles. Don't yell out the answer if you think you know it. There's another pair of angles that add up to 90. I'm going to give you a little bit to figure out which pair of angles add up to 90. Hint, hint, hint. This is a future quiz question. Hint, hint, hint.
Does that mean tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow, but after. Alan, what do you think?
5.
Alan, there's choices F, G, H, and J.
Oh.
I know.
What do you got?
F.
No, 3 and 1 do not add up to 90. 1 itself is 90. How could, if you add anything to 90, how could you get 90? Rena?
J.
3 and 5? No, those are vertical. Those are across from each other.
Oh.
Okay, what do we got here? Let's go, Marco.
4? No. Never mind.
Okay, we have a never mind out of Marco. What do we got here? I'm looking for somebody who doesn't usually help. Jason Velasquez. What'd you say? No, F is definitely not it.
It's 8.
Rena wants redemption. No! H is not it. H makes a beautiful straight line. A straight line is 180. Justice. What? G is correct. 3 and 2. Guys, look. When we do this diagram, boy, this doesn't look good for the test on for the quiz coming up, does it?
Nope.
All right, look, here we go. There's a right angle. There. Somebody said 3 and 4. Here's 3 and 4. Do they make it this?
No.
No. Someone said 3 and 5. They're vertical. They're across from each other. Someone said 1.
I did.
Yeah, 2 angles add up to 90 degrees for complementary. Not a single angle. That would be called a right angle. But these two guys, look, if this is a right angle, what's this guy here?
Alright.
A right angle. Don't 2 and 3 together make a right angle? So then 2 and 3 add up to 90 degrees. Let's take a look at the diagram below that. Here's my diagram. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Name an angle that is congruent to angle 2. Everybody looking here, right? What angle is congruent to angle 2? There's angle 2 right there. Which one has to equal angle 2?
Oh. I know.
Jeffrey, angle 1, very good. Of course, they're vertical. Next up, name an angle that's supplementary to 3. There are actually 2 answers here. Angles that are supplementary to 3. Keep that hood down. Reno, what is one of them? 5, very good. 3 and 5 make a straight line. They are supplementary. What's another one? Elizabeth. What?
3 and 1.
3 and 1?
Here,
No.
Pick me.
No, not 3 and 2. You're looking for 2 angles that make a straight line. Fernando.
3 and 4.
3 and 4, very good. They make a straight line.
Yay!
Okay. Well, there's one question we didn't get to, but we'll deal with that tomorrow. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Don't forget the relearn packets. Library tonight. Please do not forget quizzes for tomorrow. Hey, what time did you go to bed last night? Oh, that's too much sleep then.
Sleep is for the weak.
Well, I like my sleep, but
Sleep is for the weak.
all right. So you got very little sleep, and your quiz grade went down. Yeah.
Yes, my test grade went up.
Yeah, that's a true statement.